When wanting to hold your camera steady to get a photo that's crisp, keep in mind three important factors. Number one, your natural point of aim has to be dead on. Number two, your natural balance point, that is where you're holding and how you're holding the camera, has to be perfect. And number three, you only shoot at your natural respiratory pause. If you get these three things working together and working for you, your pictures are going to end up beautiful. And I mean very slow shutters you'll be able to handhold, much slower than you've ever been used to before. The reason's pretty simple, because you're concentrating on these three pieces. I mean, most people never think when they shoot anyway. They raise their camera up and shoot. They hardly ever think about holding the camera steady, and they never think to just simply not breathe when they're shooting. I think out of the three, this is the most important, and this is, again, firing at your natural respiratory pause. We all know what that is. You breathe in, you breathe out. Whenever you feel the most comfortable at your non-breathing state, for instance, after that exhale, wherever that's the most comfortable, that's your natural respiratory pause. This is the only time you shoot, is when you're at this moment. If you shoot at any other time, you're breathing. Your lungs fill up with air, they come out. Here, watch for a second. As I breathe, my lungs fill with air, the camera moves. Now, even if you don't do it quite as exaggerated as that, the camera is still moving during that exposure, which means if you plan to get something in focus, you wouldn't want the camera to move. So don't breathe. Simply shoot only during your natural respiratory pause. If people did that one thing, their pictures would improve 1,000% as far as it being in focus and crisp. Now, that coupled with a natural balance point equals an even sharper photo. And natural balance point, this refers to how you're holding your camera. Number one, you don't really want to hold your camera to begin with. You want your camera to rest in your hand. Now, it's resting here in my left hand. The weight is evenly distributed upon my palm, and the camera is basically just sitting here. My elbows are in tight. They come down, my other hand wraps around, does not grasp, doesn't hold it tight, it just wraps around. Now, very gently, we squeeze off the trigger, and poof. It's that gentleness, it's that stopping at your natural respiratory pause, and slowly letting it fire. Slowly letting it fire. As a matter of fact, when the shutter goes off, it should be a surprise for the most part. So practice that next time you shoot. Your natural respiratory pause, and then your natural balance point. It's going to help out. There's one other piece of the puzzle, and this is something not a whole lot of people get too well. When you're shooting, you need to concentrate on your natural point of aim, which means if you plan to get what's in front of you focus, put it in front of you. See, when you're holding the camera properly, everything's coming down, all the weight is being distributed down evenly into your feet and out. Your natural point of aim is now sending the camera forwards. If you twist like this or you go like this because it looks cool, it's not going to be in focus, because your body is wanting to move. It's wanting to get back to its natural point of aim, where it's the most comfortable. And see, that's the secret to this. Where is it the most comfortable? We're just trying to triple up the odds on our favor. If we don't breathe, if we make sure the camera is balanced well in our hands, and if our natural point of aim is directly in front of us, then the odds of us getting an in-focus picture climb dramatically. I mean, it's staggering how slow you can shoot compared to if you didn't do these three things. And no matter how you think about it, if you did just one, it's probably more than you're doing right now. Imagine what happens when you use all three.